The Sheep Detectives, which is the latest unexpected career swerve from writer Craig Mazin, as you said, who first rose to prominence with writing credits on Scary Movie and Hangover franchises, both of which were terrible. Then stunned everyone with Chernobyl, for which he won a Primetime and Broadcasting Press Guild Award. And he then moved on to The Last of Us, which I think earned him a Peabody. Well, what's next? Well, naturally, when you've done all that, you're going to do an adaptation of Leone Swan's 2005 family-friendly German-language oddity, Glenkill ein Schafskrimi, which became an international bestseller, known in English-language translations as you mentioned earlier, Three Bags Full, a sheep detective story. And funnily enough, my friends Alan and Diego were staying over the weekend, and Diego is Argentinian, and 3 bags full means absolutely nothing. And we're going, 3 bags full, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. No, absolutely nothing. Hence, a sheep detective story. Best way of describing it is Babe meets Knives Out. So it's directed by Carl Balder, whose directorial credits include Minions, Despicable Me 3, Minions, The Rise of Gru. So a big name in animation. The story follows an attempt by a flock of sheep to find out who had the knives out for their beloved shepherd, George, a shepherd who loved them like his own family. Here's a clip.
When my chores are finished and the sun starts to sink low in the sky, I choose a book to read out loud to them. Detective novels, mysteries, whodunits, all my favourites.
I know when Rodney Hollingshead was murdered, and I know who the real killer was.
I like to pretend that they follow along with the story, but I know in my heart that as special as they are, they're still sheep.
No, no more. Go on, a lot of you.
I'll read the ending tomorrow.
Why would he stop there?
He was just about to say who the killer was.
This is torture. It was the maid, right?
The unmistakable voice before we heard the sheep talking, because of course they understand everything, of Mr. Huge Action there.
It is, yes, absolutely.
The sheep voice cast includes Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bryan Cranston, Chris O'Dowd, Regina Hall, Patrick Stewart, Bella Ramsey, Last of Us, Rhys Darby, and a dual role for Brett Goldstein. The human being cast includes Emma Thompson as Lydia Harbottle, George's lawyer, who turns up to do the reading of the will. Molly Gordon as Rebecca Hampstead, the daughter George's friends didn't know about, but who turned up in his locale shortly before the Knives Out thing happened. Nicholas Galitzine as Elliot Matthews, the reporter who thinks there's a story there. Nicholas Braun as the foolish policeman Tim Derry, who is clearly in way over his head. And Huge Action. Now, I didn't know anything like you until I saw the poster in this case, in which Huge Action gets a front and center starring role. But since he is the person at the center of this murder mystery, he is necessarily absent for a lot of the drama.
Yes.
For if he was not, there would not be a mystery. As I said, I knew nothing about any of this when I went in. I knew the film was called The Sheep Detectives and had Huge Action in it. And consequently, I was pretty surprised by what happened with Mr. Huge Action in the opening overs. The biting the turf, fairly honest. But to be honest with you, I was pretty baffled by the whole thing, at least at first, okay? Because I had no idea, despite the title, A, it was going to be a murder mystery, B, that it was going to combine funny CG talking animals with some Watership Down style scary animal horror. I mean, there's a bit when the sheep are sheep, meet the sheep from the adjoining field in the middle of the night that honestly have me thinking about George Romero horror movies. There is a touch of the Murder, She Wrote, cozy crime sleuthing going on. I mean, cozy crime is the big genre. If you're writing your next book, Simon, cozy crime, apparently that's the thing.
No, it definitely will not be anything like that. Thank you.
Okay. There is some post-Chicken Run, Soylent Green, pro-vegetarian terror about what the other shepherds who don't love their sheep as much as George does or did, what those sheep are actually being grown for. There is a bit of genuinely weird family tragedy pathos and then some sort of sheepy Shakespearean sacrifice for the greater good. And there is a whole lot of utterly bonkers plot twists, including a late in the day revelation about the mixing of blue and yellow to make green that had even me going, sorry, just do that again. What's more surprising than any of it? So you said you watched the trailer and you laughed 3 times, right?
I did, yeah.
When it started, it was like, what on earth is going on? And I thought, there's no way that any of this can work. And the weird thing is, it really, really does. And I found it really charming and really funny and really moving. I mean, the high caliber pedigree of everyone on screen aside, taking into account the fact that some bits do work better than other bits, much more of it works than doesn't work. And I came out thinking, that was really cute. That was really charming. As I walked out of the screening, one of the PR people was there and they said, what do you think? I said, I thought it was really cute. And then I caught myself thinking, I can't believe I just said that was really cute. I mean, the fact that the whole thing pivots on a much loved character biting the turf early on in the drama, ruthless poisoning, and then much of the rest of the film being spent trying to figure out just how horrible human beings can be. And yet still somehow it manages to be charming. I mean, I had no idea about it going in, and I came out thinking, that's it. It's going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit, and people are going to really, really enjoy themselves, and it's going to work across a range of ages despite all that weird stuff. It's PG for mild violence, brief threat, and language, and that doesn't come anywhere close to describing how WTF strange it is. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really cute.
Maybe that's what you make because you just mentioned all the the big things that Craig Mazin has done. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to make it like that if he hadn't done The Last of Us, if he hadn't done Chernobyl. If he'd gone just straight comedy, it wouldn't been quite so strange.
He has had the most remarkable career. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable when you read, Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4, Hangover Part 2, Hangover Part 3, The Huntsman, Charlie's Angels, Dune Part 2. That's Charlie's Angels and Dune Part 2 are uncredited rewrites. And then Sheep Detectives. And then on television, Chernobyl, yeah.
I mean, he was a guest on the show last year, but, two of the, I remember when Chernobyl came out, just jaw on the floor. And I remember interviewing Anthony Horowitz, who said it's probably the greatest television show I have ever seen. And you go, oh, okay, right. Well, you've written quite a lot, so you know what you're talking about. And it is genuine. And it's been on television again recently.
Yeah, just astonishing, just astonishing. Incidentally, on the subject of the scary movies,
yes,
there's a new one on the way.
Great.